Hidden psychology of relationships. Imagine that relationships are like an invisible game, one where we're all players, but few of us know the rules. And the strangest part, we often don't even realize we're in the game. It's made up of emotions, words, and actions, but the real course of events is hidden from our view. And how often do we think that our relationships are a clean slate? But here's the thing. What we call relationships isn't always just based on what's visible. Behind the scenes, behind the words, behind the actions, there's much more going on that we don't always notice. Chapter 1. What is the hidden psychology of relationships? The hidden psychology of relationships is what happens behind the curtain. It's all those mechanisms that drive us, but we're not always aware of them. When we talk about relationships, we usually think of what we can see: love, arguments, shared dinners. But there's so much more behind it. Think about how many times in your life you've found yourself in situations where your feelings weren't quite clear, where your partner's actions seemed not what they appeared, or where you made decisions without realizing that hidden patterns were guiding you. Here are a few things we often hear. Why do I keep ending up in the same kinds of relationships? Or why do I react in ways I don't want to? Most of the time, our minds fill in these blanks with hidden psychology. Chapter 2. Why do we choose certain people? The hidden psychology starts with who we choose to have relationships with. Why do we attract certain people to us and not others? Why do our relationships seem to repeat, even though we think we've changed? The answer is simple. We often choose people who remind us of our past. Subconsciously. Yes, our parents, their relationships, their problems, and their emotions, all of that leaves an imprint on our subconscious. And even if we think we're looking for free relationships, we end up repeating the same old patterns. Sometimes it feels like we're stuck in some kind of emotional hamster wheel, rolling around in circles, unable to get out. Why do we keep meeting the bad boys or emotionally unavailable partners? Psychology doesn't give us a choice until we recognize our patterns. And here's the thing. It doesn't mean that all the people we choose are bad or toxic. No, it's just a process where our internal expectations align with the kind of relationships we saw in childhood or even the ones we observed around us. Chapter 3. Manipulations and hidden strategies. This is where it gets interesting. In relationships, we're not just participants. Sometimes we're manipulators too. And it's not always obvious manipulation. Sometimes it's a subtle game that leads to certain outcomes. Who hasn't encountered passive-aggressive behavior? Or maybe someone has said, well, you know it's your fault I'm acting this way. Manipulation in relationships isn't always screaming or blackmailing. It could be silence, quiet resentment, accusations, or even subtle ways of making your partner do what you want. For example, it might start with, you know how hard this is for me. That immediately makes us feel guilty, and before we know it, we're doing things we don't need to. Chapter 4. How our past wounds affect our relationships. Now, let's dive a little deeper. Our wounds aren't just memories from the past. They're powerful forces that shape how we view the world and build relationships. Take someone who's been cheated on, for example. They might subconsciously seek out proof of their dissatisfaction. Or someone who was rejected in childhood might be afraid of intimacy, even when they meet someone who's ready to love them. Our psyche creates a filter through which we view the world, and that filter governs everything. even how we perceive love and attachment. And we find people who match these filters, and we begin to believe that this is what true love is. Chapter 5: How to Avoid Toxic Relationship Dynamics. So how do we change all of this? How do we avoid toxic relationships and constructively process the hidden psychology that's driving us? The answer lies in awareness and honesty. Being aware that your actions and reactions have deep roots in your past. Honesty, both with yourself and with your partner. Of course, acknowledging your dark corners might not be the most fun thing to do. But let's be honest, it's better than falling into the trap of the same old relationships again. Conclusion: understanding the hidden psychology of relationships is the key to improving them. Once we realize which patterns and mechanisms affect our behavior, we can begin to change everything, starting with ourselves. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future videos. Share your thoughts in the comments. Maybe you've recognized something in yourself, or you've learned something new. I'd love to hear what you think. See you in the next video, and remember, every step towards understanding yourself is a step towards better relationships.